In the heart of Mexico City, amidst the colorful streets of Coyoacán, a woman emerged who would change the art world forever. Welcome to another Edflix album that delves deep into the enigmatic life of Frida Kahlo.
Nestled in the heart of Central America, Mexico City is a bustling metropolis, known for its rich history, vibrant culture, and immense diversity. The capital of Mexico stands as one of the largest cities in the world, teeming with a population that represents a tapestry of identities. With a history dating back to the ancient Aztec civilization, Mexico City seamlessly blends the old and the new. Its historic center is adorned with stunning colonial-era architecture such as the Grand Metropolitan Cathedral and the National Palace, while modern skyscrapers loom in the distance. The city's bustling streets are a sensory overload, filled with the aromas of street food vendors, the sounds of mariachi music, and the colorful displays of local markets. Mexico City is not only the political and economic hub of the country, but also a cultural epicenter with world-class museums like the Frida Kahlo Museum and the National Museum of Anthropology, showcasing Mexico's rich heritage. Frida was born on July 6, 1907 in Coyoacán, Mexico. Her father Guillermo was a Jewish-German immigrant who worked as a photographer, and her mother Matilde was a Mexican Catholic from rural Mexico. Frida grew up more influenced by her father, who was European, rather than the traditional Mexican roots she had from her mother. She always wanted to become a doctor, but her destiny was to become one of the most influential painters and artists in the world. Why did Frida paint so many portraits though? And why is Frida's work relatable to whoever comes up with her art? If somebody studies Frida's life and how many injuries she suffered, they might say she was very unlucky. A superstitious person could blame a black cat for it. Was it a jinx though? Or was it just coincidence? At the age of 6, Frida contracted polio. Polio, or poliomyelitis in full, is an infectious disease that can cause spinal and respiratory paralysis. Children at that time were particularly vulnerable to the disease, and guess who contracted polio? Yeah, it was Frida Kahlo. Thankfully, she didn't die as many of other children at that time, but polio left her with a noticeable limp. There was no vaccine back then, and her recovery was very painful, but Frida's father, Guillermo Kahlo, played a significant role in it. He encouraged her to move her limp by playing football or wrestle, activities that were pretty uncommon for a girl at that time.
And if you enjoy Frida's album, what would you say if I could tell you there is a lesson plan for her that you can actually teach to your students, and not an old-fashioned one? You get a video guidance, a presentation, and the printable worksheet. And guess what? Your students can actually chat with her. Amazing, right? Simply join Edflix and have access to the whole library.
As a teenager, Frida attended the prestigious National Preparatory School in Mexico City, known as La Preparatoria, in 1922. She joined a group of like-minded students who were passionate about art and politics. In Frida's eyes, the only way to secure a better future was through the politics of communism. It was at this school that Frida crossed paths with the famous muralist and larger-than-life figure of Diego Rivera, who was known for his grand, politically charged works that adorned public buildings across Mexico. And that was the reason why he was at school. He was commissioned to paint a mural. As Frida watched Diego work on the mural, she couldn't help but be captivated by his talent and charisma in general. Diego, on the other hand, was not that intrigued by Frida at that time, and allegedly she took a painting in front of him and she told her classmates that one day I'm going to marry him. At the age of 18, it was a horrific bus accident that would change Frida's life forever. Frida was on her way home from school when she boarded a bus. It would have been a familiar ride for her in any other day. Like many students, she would have been looking forward to returning home, eat lunch and greet her parents. Little did she know, though, that this ordinary bus ride would change her life forever. On September 17, 1925, the bus Frida was riding collided with a trolley car. The impact was catastrophic. The bus was smashed at the center of the Mexico City, and Frida's body was severely injured since he was impaled by a metal handrail which pierced her through her abdomen and exited through her pelvis. She escaped death once again, but the accident left her with life-threatening injuries like broken spine, collarbone, pelvis, and multiple fractures in her legs and feet. Can you imagine the amount of pain she felt with a handrail destroying her spine and feet? It was during her long and painful recovery that Frida began to paint seriously. She endured pain and underwent numerous surgeries, spending months in a full body cast. As she lay in the hospital, Frida discovered her love for art. Unable to move freely, she began to paint using a special easel that allowed her to create art from her hospital bed. And her subject was someone that she knew the best than anybody else, herself. Her first self-portrait, which she painted after the accident, is a haunted depiction of her physical and emotional pain. After she exited hospital, the cobalt blue house would become not just a home, but a sanctuary for Frida or a prison for some others. It was here that Frida painted most of her masterpieces, including her famous self-portraits. Through these paintings, she expressed her pain, both physical and emotional, and in general her identity as a woman. At that time, she began appreciating her Mexican roots and started making paintings that showed where she came from. Her works often featured the vibrant colors of Mexico, themes rooted in Mexican culture and folklore. But painting wasn't the only way she connected with her roots. Her unibrow and her traditional dresses were the landmarks of her Mexican identity. She challenged conventional beauty standards, and in these dresses she felt so powerful and could hide from the rest of the community and even from herself, her injured body. One cannot discuss Frida Kahlo without mentioning her tumultuous relationship and marriage to the famous Mexican muralist Diego Rivera. Amidst her recovery, Frida reconnected with her childhood friend, and Diego was twice married, twice her age. So what did Frida see in him?
His attraction was his wisdom. He could talk to you about everything, and that made you feel like, well, you are in love with him because you are in love with his wisdom. It was wonderful to work with him. I think he was a teacher and like a guide for your life.
Frida felt the same, and they dated for just a year before they got married. In 1929, their love blossomed, and Frida and Diego got married. To celebrate their love, Frida made a painting, but their relationship in general was far from conventional. They both had fierce personalities, and their marriage was marked by passion in general and also tumultuous fights. Back at Casa Azul, Frida had a collection with dolls that she gathered when she was a child. She continued, though, to add dolls to her collection even when she grew up. So, is this just a collection of dolls, or can it be something more for Frida? Frida had a deep desire to become a mother. Her destiny, unfortunately, had different plans for her. This dream of motherhood would never become true, and she suffered 3 devastating miscarriages. The most painful one happened in 1952 during her trip to Detroit. The physical toll of her injuries made it nearly impossible for her to carry pregnancy to term. It was a heartbreaking chapter in her life, and it filled the pain that manifested in her art. Diego was known for his affairs, and one such affair led to a heartbreaking moment in Frida's life. In 1934, Diego began an affair with Frida's sister Cristina Kahlo, which broke Frida's heart. The pain of this betrayal cut deep, and it led to a momentous decision. In her pain and anger, Frida decided to cut her hair, and in one of her writings, Frida summed up the whole experience in 3 words: murdered by life. But the story didn't end there. Across her life, Frida had affairs of her own: photographer Nicholas Murray, modernist sculptor Isamu Noguchi, and in 1937 she would embark on an affair that would have unforeseen consequences for her life and art. Frida was more than just an artist. She was a political activist. She identified with the Communist Party and supported social justice causes. Her art often conveyed powerful political messages, and especially during the Mexican Revolution. She used her platform to advocate for the rights of women, indigenous people and the working class. It was this political activism that would lead her to cross paths with the famous Russian revolutionary Leon Trotsky. Trotsky was a communist who led the Russian Revolution in 1917, but political differences had sent him into exile in Mexico. In 1937, Leon Trotsky found refuge in Mexico City, and in general, Trotsky was a person who was idolized by Diego Rivera. Frida and Diego offered Trotsky and his wife Natalia a safe haven in their iconic Blue House, but it wasn't long before this meeting became a passionate affair. And what a better revenge, one might claim. Frida's relationship with Trotsky was complex. When Diego found out about the affair, he was extremely furious, and it's rumored that that was the reason why he filed for a divorce in 1939. Trotsky's time in Mexico was cut short. He was assassinated in 1940. This is probably the most famous painting of Frida Kahlo. It was painted after the divorce, and it shows two editions of her. We can see that Frida on the right has a complete heart, and Frida on the left is bleeding from the cut in her heart. Having such tremendous feelings for someone you love can be extremely devastating during a divorce, when you realize that this person is now gone. Frida now had to be her own companion and actually reconnect with herself. In 1938, she saw her first solo exhibition in New York. The following year, she became the first modern Mexican painter to be bought by the Louvre Museum in Paris. Picasso was so impressed that he gifted her a set of earrings. But as Frida was gaining a reputation as a great artist, she was betrayed once again. This time, it wasn't Diego, it was her own body. In the 1950s, she underwent spinal fusion surgery that left her bedridden for months. She was forced now to wear a restrictive spinal corset, and the pain was relentless. If the two Fridas are the most famous piece of art, this is one of the most powerful ones. Frida's health continued to decline, and she spent the last years of her life confined to a bedroom in Casa Azul. In 1953, her friends organized her first ever solo exhibition in Mexico at La Galería de Arte Contemporáneo. It was a celebration and a farewell. Frida was bedridden due to her illness, yet her indomitable spirit and desire to share her art with the world burned brighter than ever.
Sorpresivamente el doctor había dicho que no iba a llegar y a la mera hora ya llegó en la ambulancia. Llegó la ambulancia con su sirena anunciando que ya llegaba. Entonces la sacaron en una camilla. Pues yo creo que era un ser encantador, un genio del arte que logró expresar el dolor humano. Eso ha hecho tan grandísima artista.
Her bed was carefully transported, and it became the centerpiece of her show. The visitors were astounded. They were not just viewing the art of Frida Kahlo, but they were literally stepping into her reality. into her world, sharing her pain and experiencing her resilience. On the 12th of July 1954, Frida had a fever and was in extreme pain. The next day, at approximately 6 a.m., her nurse found her dead in her bed. Kahlo was 47 years old. In accordance with her wishes, Kahlo was cremated, and Rivera, who stated that her death was the most tragic day of his life, died 3 years later in 1957.
Con su cabeza asiática, sobre la que nace un pelo oscuro, tan delgado y fino que parece flotar en el aire, es un niño grandote, inmenso, de cara amable y mirada triste. Sus ojos saltones, oscuros, inteligentísimos y grandes, están difícilmente detenidos, casi fuera de las órbitas por párpados hinchados y protuberantes como de batracio. Sirven para que su mirada abarque un campo visual mucho más amplio, como si estuvieran construidos especialmente para un pintor de espacios y multitudes, y muy pocas veces desaparece de su boca búdica, de labios carnosos, una sonrisa irónica y tierna, flor de su imagen. Viéndole desnudo se piensa inmediatamente en un niño rana, parado sobre las patas de atrás. Sus hombros infantiles, angostos y redondos, terminan en unas manos maravillosas, pequeñas y de fino dibujo, sensibles y sutiles como antenas que comunican con el universo entero. Es asombroso que esas manos hayan servido para pintar tanto y trabajen todavía infatigablemente. Su forma es la de un monstruo entrañable al cual la abuela, antigua ocultadora, la materia necesaria y eterna, la mujer entre todas ellas, yo, quisiera siempre tenerlo en brazos como un niño recién nacido.